times.
Yeah, this is a case dealing with a client who was on her way down to an Atlanta United game with her husband and two of her friends. They were traveling down Fulton Street. Speed limit on that road is about 35 miles per hour. Another vehicle decided to make an ill-advised left-hand turn in front of their car, and causing significant damage to their vehicle. And just so that people understand exactly how much damage can be done to a vehicle at 35 miles an hour, this is the vehicle they were traveling in, and the damage that was done to this car at 35 miles an hour by running into another vehicle, making a left-hand turn in front of them. Um, my client in this incident had significant injuries that included facial lacerations. She had dental work that needed to be done, and had several stitches across her face, which was significant because this client was a realtor at the time, and so her physical appearance was important to her and probably important to the folks that wanted to hire her at a later date. And it had some additional injuries that you can't see on the surface, which are the psychological injuries that she had to have some treatment for as well. With regard to the left-hand turn, people need to understand the dynamics of the left-hand turn. There's several left-hand turns situations in the city of Atlanta. Some of them are on arrows, which are controlled intersections. Others are on stop signs, and some of them are left to the whims of the drivers to make the decision whether or not it's clear enough to turn. In this situation, it was an unprotected intersection where the other driver coming from the other direction had to make the decision whether or not it was clear to turn, and clearly it was not clear to turn. I myself have been involved in one of these left-hand turn situations, and there is absolutely no time to react when these things happen, and it can cause significant damage and injury to the persons that are running into the cars that are making the left-hand turn. Um, in this case, we were able to get a very favorable outcome for the client. Fortunate for her, the other driver had $250,000 worth of liability coverage, which we were able to get all of that money. In addition to that, we were able to get an additional $300,000 in uninsured motorist coverage, which was not as simple as it might seem. Initially, in the case, when you get the deck pages from the insurance company, it showed there was only $50,000 worth of uninsured motorist coverage. Some lawyers would take that and say, great, I'll just get the 500, I'm sorry, the $50,000, and then I also get the $250,000 from the liability carrier and call it quits. But in this situation, there's several ways for a person who is a passenger in a vehicle to recover from And in this situation, Beth was fortunate enough that she could recover first from the uninsured motorist coverage for the vehicle she was riding in, second, from her own uninsured motorist coverage. But then that doesn't end the questioning of the client. Now you have to find out, does the client live in a home with another person that drives a vehicle that might have uninsured motorist coverage? Because in Georgia, there's something called resident relative, and if you have another person in your home that has an uninsured motorist policy, you can also draw upon that policy even if you were not riding in their vehicle. But in this situation, we were dealing with a specific insurance company that has stackable policies. And what that means is that the uninsured motorist coverage policies can be stacked on top of each other for every vehicle that's in that household. So this particular company writes individual policies. They don't write one policy and just put all the vehicles. They write individual policies, which makes it possible to stack those coverages. In this situation, we were able to find additional vehicles that were on these policies, and we're able to stack multiple $50,000 policies to get an aggregate of total amount of $300,000 worth of additional coverage on top of the 250,000 that we'd already recovered. Ultimately getting Beth $550,000 of recovery for those significant facial lacerations, the dental work that had to be done, and the significant psychological trauma that she sustained in this case. So, um, outstanding result for the client, and happy we did it. But ultimately, it came down to experience and knowing how the insurance industry works, knowing how these insurance policies work for the various companies, and applying that on a case by case basis to get the best result for the client.